Welcome to P&L, Priorities and Lifestyle, with your host, Rob Schultz. Rob is the founder and president of Schultz Wealth. All opinions expressed by Rob and his guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Schultz Wealth Limited. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Please refer to our website for more information.
Welcome everybody to P&L, Priorities and Lifestyle. I am your host, Rob Schultz, and today I have Rob Knight, ultimate entrepreneur, head of IVC. We're going to talk about his business. These are the ones that I love, Rob, because we're going to talk about how you became an entrepreneur and just that journey. This is the stuff that I think that the folks that listen to this really enjoy. So thanks for coming today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a technical difficulty here, so we've got no video today, but we're just gonna roll with it. Or I am. I'm still kind of a little bit flustered, I got to admit, because I always like it when everything works. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't working well. Even the fire alarm went off a while ago. That was crazy. So I don't know about you, but that's kind of the stuff that a lot of us as business owners have to deal with, isn't it?
Yep. Got to be able to flow with it.
Yeah, yeah. And you've grown your operation into a tremendous business. Tell us just a little bit about your business and kind of where you are right now.
Okay. Just to kind of summarize it, if you look at 7-Eleven, Quick Trip, Circle K's, all the big chain convenience stores, mm-hmm. they get a lot of attention from suppliers because they have 100 or thousands of stores. The mom and pops kind of get left behind in that process because they have no buying power. So we created IVC, which is Independent Buyers Company, back in '93, one of the original founders, and started pulling all the independents together as one to create a negotiating arm for the mom and pops. So the ones, the threes, the fives, they can't bargain with the suppliers, don't get the best deals or rebates and all the things that go to them. So they joined our association, and just over the years, we've gone from, I had 800 stores when I started there in 2010, and today we have 7,400 in 25 states.
7,400 stores.
Yes. We're in the top 5 largest chains in the United States. We're number 2 behind 7-Eleven.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm from a store ranking standpoint.
Yeah, but all these are independent business owners mm-hmm. that have these stores, and then you're their primary relationship with regard to their stock.
They sign to let us negotiate mm-hmm. all their programs, whether it's Coke, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, propane, groceries, cigarettes, candy. We go and negotiate those deals for them so they don't have to haggle with all the suppliers in the store and can't get it all to kind of sew together as one collective package for their store. So we do all that for them, and they get our pricing, our rebates, and it allows them to kind of focus on other things in the store and growing their business inside.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of logistics and that sort of thing, but that's something that you've done pretty much your whole career, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. How many employees do y'all have?
56 right now. And
that sounds really efficient.
It is. It's very efficient, and that's how we compete, and that's how we, I kind of refer to my team as the Spartans, like in the movie the 300.
Yeah, I remember that.
My team can do what 1,000 can do, and that's our culture. And they love what they do, and they show up and work hard every day.
You're in a new building. Mm-hmm. And so with this team and this Spartan kind of thing that you're talking about, I'm kind of intrigued. Tell us how you kind of set up where people work and that sort of thing. Do you have them in teams, or do they have individual offices?
We have departments, marketing, sales, business development, CFO, finance, account management, those type of different departments. And a lot of our people that run those today, some of them came in as customer service reps on the phone, and they've grown in the company. So we really like to try to develop within, and it just creates a really good culture, and everybody feels like they're part of the process, and it's worked very well.
So it sounds like it's set up pretty traditional as far as your office. Okay. And then post-COVID, most people are coming in, or do you have some people that are remote?
No, we don't do remote.
Yeah.
We did a little bit during the time, but I just, and what's funny is a lot of companies that thought that was the best way to go now today are reversing their decisions on that.
Or trying to.
They're trying to.
Yeah.
And I never was a fan of it.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic first came out in March of 20, we did shut down for a month because, stock market's crashing, death counts just shooting through the roof. Everybody's kind of panicked. And so we all worked remotely for about a month. And then we realized we were considered an essential business. So I bought a bunch of N95s and hand sanitizers and all these things for our sales teams that are out in the stores every day, because I didn't want them to get sick. And fortunately, we got through it pretty good, and our business exploded.
Wow.
Because, it changed consumer habits. People didn't want to go down the grocery store. They didn't want to go stand in those big box stores lines. And, immediately when the pandemic came out, I shifted our strategy to start putting case water, 2 liters, 12 packs, big displays in our stores because we knew that's what people were buying. And big bag chips, that's what they were going to the grocery store, and they would pay a little bit more to have that convenience. And it was just a game changer for us.
Wow.
Yep. So we
that
reacted well and had one of the best years of our lives, and we've been beating that number ever since.
Man, that's great. Rob, you started as a route driver for Pepsi.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
That's where you started.
Yep. Slinging
How old were you when you went into that?
Oh, gosh, that was 24.
Okay.
24, 25.
Yeah.
86 is when I started.
Yeah. So you have gone all the way from the bottom all the way to the top.
Yes.
In your career.
Fortunately, I've been very blessed, but it's hard work. It's hard work, and a lot of people don't want to put that in to get to where they want to in life. So I've been very fortunate to just plow through all those jobs and try to get to the next level.
Yeah.
I can remember going in and talking to my supervisor. I kind of had a path. I wanted to be promoted every 2 years. I didn't want to be in a job more than 2 years. Not switch companies.
Yeah, I get
but
it.
I just wanted to kind of find out how do I get to that next plateau.
Yeah.
And I would always be going to my supervisor, what do I need to do? What are your KPIs or your benchmarks that I need to follow to get to that next job? And they would tell me, and I would just go out and make sure I did exactly that. And just so there was no denial when the time came to promote to that position. I was just the standout that you could just check all the boxes and say, he did this, he did that. We can't deny him.
It's so simple, yet most people won't do that.
That's right.
I wonder why they won't, because that just makes perfect sense. Just say, hey, tell me what I need to do to be able to get this job, and then you just go execute on that. But most people won't even ask the question.
Well, and it's not a bad thing, but I think people get comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm making a good check. I like what I do. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. And they just are really good where they are. And that's not a bad thing.
That's not bad. Yeah.
I wanted more. I wanted to be the one that changed my family tree. I was raised by my grandmother. I didn't have a mom and dad around very much. And I never felt deprived or like we didn't have what we needed. Mm-hmm. But I just saw that there's more out there. And I always questioned, why can't I have that? Why can't I have that? Why can't I do that for my family? And I just wanted to change it. I just thought, you know what? And I watch people in life, and I would kind of find out their story and think, well, he started from nothing, and this guy started from nothing, and this girl started from nothing, and they did it. Why can't I do it? Mm-hmm. So I just got the mindset that I wasn't going to listen to anybody. I was just going to fight toward that path. And if I got there, I did. And if I didn't, I could at least say I tried. And a lot of people can't even say that because it's the fear of the unknown or the change.
Risk. It's taking risks.
Some people just don't want that risk. Mm-hmm. And I love my wife. She's always been very supportive, but she had her own fears of my entrepreneurial spirit because I'm always wanting to go to that next step. And she's like, but you got a good job, you got benefits, life is good. We got 3 kids, do we really want to take that chance? I said, well, or do we want to look back and wonder what would have happened if we hadn't? And now, today, she's like, I'm so glad.
This is awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love it, yeah. So
here's a question for you, because this is the way you're built, which is very common with entrepreneurs, not comfortable where you are, wanting to get to the next level. And, it's not a bad thing to be comfortable where you are. It's not a bad thing to want more.
Doing that, yeah.
It's just that's how you're built. Are you comfortable now?
I am. I'm comfortable. I feel like I've kind of hit a big plateau in my life that I wanted to be at, but I'm not done.
Yeah.
There's more out there, and now I'm setting my eyes on the next big thing. And, if and when there's life after IBC, I'll have another chapter.
Yeah.
Because I'll be doing something else. I can't sit at home. My mind's always going. I got to be feeding that something. I can't just sit home and watch Price is Right and retire. I will never do that, I don't think. I'll probably work until the day I die.
Sure.
So, and I like they say, if you do what's fun, it's never a job.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Do you find that it's hard trying to find what that next thing is? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. You just kind of...
It's already kind of in the works.
Okay.
I wanted to be a developer.
Okay.
I've done a few things with a buddy of mine. We did this building that we're in now.
Right.
Our first corporate convenience store, the homes behind it. So I've done 3 or 4 small ones, but I want to kind of take that to the next level. So the day that I decide IBC is no longer for me, if that comes, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And my son, he helped develop the building, and he kind of ran that project, so he's excited to do that too. And it kind of gives him a next chapter too, because he's going to go wherever I go.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I'll do this as long as you want, but if you leave, we're going together.
That's cool. So y'all are pretty close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yes, very close.
Yeah. So
I'm close to all my kids, but in different ways.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Okay.
Yep.
They're all different, aren't they?
They are different.
It's amazing. They come from the same parents, and they're all so different.
Yeah, there is no cookie cutter.
No.
And you think, well, they're going to be. They're not different. They're different in many, many ways.
Yeah.
So.
How long has your son been with you?
Gosh, about 8 years. I think he started right out of college, and when I brought him in, I told him, listen, if you ever want to lead this company someday or lead people in it, they have to respect you. So I can't give you anything. I'll help you and I'll guide you, but you have to blaze your own trail. So I put him in the worst jobs that we had. He was out running errands for the previous founder when I was the VP, and he was hanging spanners out on the front of the convenience stores, busting his knuckles in 25-degree weather.
Good stuff.
And then he had to sell credit card programs, which is probably one of the hardest programs to sell. And he just had to really grind in the ditches for a few years. And then I just gradually let him move up, and now he's the president of all of our Easy Store brands.
Okay. What does that mean? That
Easy Store is a brand that I created for our convenience store. So the whole concept is easy. Now you got Quick Trip.
Yeah.
Quick Trip, Racetrack, they all have these names that kind of means quick and convenient. I did Easy Store, which is around easy. So big pumps where, moms and SUVs or trucks can pull out. They don't have to back out. EV chargers, self-checkouts, just really the whole concept's easy.
Okay.
So we did our first one, about to open in 2 weeks, and our goal is to do 100 in North Texas. So we would have 100 controlled stores, and then however many we have in the independent world as well.
So he's running that program for you.
Well, it's that. We developed a back office system on the Apple and Android store, which is to scan all the data at the register.
Okay.
And we developed that, and that's free to our members. And then we have Easy Store Print, which is a print shop that we print. We have Easy Store Eats. So we're rolling out a food program. So it's all around Easy Store labeling.
Okay.
So we got a couple
Yeah.
of different brands under the Easy Store platform. We're doing Easy Store Fuel, so we're going to start doing our own fuel and then licensing out the Easy Store name. That's the plan. We're still kind of piecing the last pieces together, and then we're going to roll it out to our membership and see who wants a ready-made convenience store, and they'll lease it from us and see where it goes.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's like y'all still have a lot going on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so busy. But I'm a lot of people ask me, when are you just going to like pause and slow down? And my opinion is well, if you want to climb a mountain and you're halfway and you're not tired and you still feel like you can make it, why would you stop? So I don't feel like there's any ceilings on us to say pause or don't do this. So we're just going to keep climbing and keep growing and doing the right thing and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So we don't want to limit ourselves.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a really good journey.
Yeah. So raised by your grandmother.
Yes.
Tell me about your grandmother.
She was tough.
Yeah?
She was a tough old woman, but she loved me. Thank God, because she took me in when I was 3 months old.
Oh wow.
Because my dad and mom split, and that probably wasn't the best environment for me. So she's really kind of my mom, my dad, and everything. And she was hard on me. She was very strict. Probably caused me to kind of be a little friskier in my teenage years because I wanted to just bust out and be my own. But I can remember always telling me that, my obstacles in life, 90% of them will be me. And she said, if you can look yourself in the mirror and really judge yourself fairly, she goes, you can fix those things and you'll be limitless. And it was true. So people don't look at themselves, everybody wants to see themselves in a good light.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to deny that they're wrong or that they've made a mistake or that maybe they're broken in the conversation or the relationship. And if you can judge yourself fairly, you can fix the things that are wrong in your life. And I believe that. And she always told me, you can be whatever you want to be. Don't, and you look at people like Michael Jordan, Michael Irving, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these people that started with nothing from nowhere, had a dream and a vision, and came from very poor backgrounds. And look what they've done today. So there's a lot of examples out there to follow if people just pause a minute and look back and believe in themselves that they can do it.
Well, I can certainly see a direct relationship between, that advice from your grandmother and what you were talking about, how you took control of your career starting out, driving a truck to being the next stage, and saying, hey, what do I need? What do I need to do here? And, 90% of sounds like getting to that next level was on you. That's what you believe.
It was. And, my wife was, she's a driver, man. She was always in my corner, but she pushed me, to stay in the lane and stay focused and that's important. I think it's who's on the pillow next to you.
Yeah.
And what are they whispering in your ear when you're laying there at night, talking for 20 minutes before you go to bed, because that can send you in one direction or the other. Because I've seen it, if they're negative and they're kind of like enforcing what you say about you're upset and not trying to coach you through it and get to the other side. And she was a big part of that. So I give her a lot of credit for kind of keeping me grounded and humble at times.
Yeah.
She would also tell me what I didn't want to hear, but
oh yeah,
that's the kind of partner you need in life.
Absolutely. And it almost sounds like, she can kind of grab you before you go jumping off the cliff too, a little bit, kind of, it's like, whoa, let's take this maybe a little bit slower than Rob Knight wants to take it.
Yeah. Well, you know how they say you marry your mom?
Yeah.
She's got a lot of characteristics of my grandmother.
Oh, cool.
Very loving, big heart, but tough.
Yeah.
And strong when she needs to be.
Yeah. And then you were doing the corporate scene with Dr. Pepper and a couple of other companies, I think.
I did Dr. Pepper I did Pepsi for a couple of years.
Okay.
Then I did Dr. Pepper for 20. And I was on a route truck there because I went from Pepsi to Dr. Pepper, and I just moved up through the ranks and was running 23 states for national accounts for small format, which is dollar stores, drug stores, and convenience stores.
Well, right. I mean, right what you're doing right now.
No, it's been my wheelhouse for my whole life.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
My son says this is just kind of the perfect storm coming together. He said, you just know convenience stores so well. He goes, now you're building your first one, kind of your dream. And it's been pretty fun.
That is cool. So, but a lot of guys have a really hard time making that jump from the corporate side with a big company like Pepsi or Dr. Pepper, and then transitioning over to your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Most folks won't do that.
You're right. You're right.
Most
I had
people
friends
will
at
not
Dr.
do
Pepper that were kind of in the mindset that, wow, I'm excited for you, but man, that's a huge risk.
Yeah.
They just talked me out of it. They just kind of had the concerns that you talked about. And I just, I wanted to see, was it Dr. Pepper? Why I was successful, or was it Rob Knight selling Dr. Pepper? Same with all the other things. And I quickly realized when I left, it was a lot of what I was doing and my intensity and, how I went to work every day. And then I saw these successes transfer into other stuff, and I just thought, you know what? And I kept up with the owners of IBC because they were my customer since '93.
Oh, I see.
Under Dr. Pepper. So my key account people called on them, and I knew one of them was retiring. So I met with the other one who I was also good friends with, and we were having lunch one day, and one of our competitors in Houston hired a guy from Coke, and he changed their business because he kind of understood the supplier side better than the owner of IBC did, or even the company that the Coke guy was working for down in Houston. And I just sat down with him one day. I said, listen, I'd love to do this. I think I could bring a lot to the table. And he knew me. We were good friends. And so there was a great deal of respect both ways. And I had lunch with him one day, and I had a sheet of paper, and I drew a line down the middle, but I had it turned over. And I said, listen, you're a co-op. You're a buying group of independents who are kind of tough to manage at times. And because I had all these buying groups under my control at Dr. Pepper, I knew all the pain points and what was good and what was bad. And I told him, I said, listen, love you to death, but I'm going to give you a little truth serum here. I said, I'm going to turn this piece of paper over, and I'm going to show, on one side of the page, I'm going to have everything that I liked about your business. And on the other side, I'm going to have everything that I think holds you back. He said, okay, let's do it. So I turned it over. One page was full all the way down the side to the point there was even notes kind of scribbled in as additional add-ons. And then he's like, wow, that's a lot. And then on the other side, there was one thing, and it was his name. And I said, that's the only thing I like about your business. And I said,
that's brutal.
I go, but you get a lot of things because of that. Now let's take that and keep that intact, and let me come over here and fix these things, and I'll make you the number one co-op in the state and eventually the country. And I said, but there's one condition. I said, you're the last guy I'm making rich. I said, so if you're willing to share some of the proceeds, and I made him a deal. I said, listen, I'm not asking you to give me a giant salary, just give me enough to take care of my family, and give me a piece of all the incremental business I bring in. And we went from 800 stores before he left to 2,600. And then he left.
From how much? From
800 stores 800 to 2,600.
To 2,600.
I bought it in 2016. He retired, and then we've gone from there to 7,400 today.
Okay.
We were in 2 states then, and now we're in 25.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is really cool. So that's what I see there is, sometimes we need other people's perspective, knowing like in a business. So he's running a company. He's doing a good job.
Sure.
He's got a good company.
Great company.
But you've been working with so many similar companies. You've seen all the good. You've seen all the bad. You know what all is happening on the corporate side with regard to all this pricing and structure and so forth. That perspective shifting over to the independent side.
I was able to see it through the eyes of the suppliers.
Yeah.
And that's something he didn't have because he was with a grocery company before. And he told me and he didn't take the list bad. I just told him, if you really want to change the game, This is how I think you should do it, because it's not just you; it's all the groups do this.
So you were seeing that all the way across.
Yes.
So you knew that if you could achieve that stuff, that would give you a huge competitive environment.
Separation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we teamed up, and he tells everybody today. He goes, after doing it for, from '93 to 2010, he goes, I just kind of ran out of bag of tricks. And he said,
right.
I brought a whole fresh look from a different perspective, and we just started fixing all the little things. None of our competitors cared about us until he and I teamed up, and now everyone's trying to knock us off the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the number one by far. We're the nation's largest buying group by probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So.
And then that's Lee, right?
Lee Highsmith, yes.
Okay. So, you got to give Lee a lot of credit there.
He's an amazing man. One of my best friends.
Because, it's those, I call them demarcation points, but, recognizing that something's got to change, right? And very few people can do that.
You're right. You're right.
It would be so easy for him to, take all that personally, because, our businesses are, they are personal. We spend a lot of time and effort, and it's thought and so forth. And for him to take that so objectively and be able to go, yeah, you're right. Something needs to change at this point.
Mm-hmm. He was very open to it. He knew it. He knew all the things that were out there. And, he was open to doing that, and he felt like I could do it. But a little story about Lee and just how this all got here is, he used to work for a little grocery company, and he called on his other partner, Jim Ridenauer, that had maybe a dozen stores. I can't remember the exact amount of convenience stores. And he was talking to him about, guys like you and little guys just don't get the fair deals. He goes, we should start this co-op and start pulling independents together. And he went and got Frito-Lay, and he went and got, I think, Dr. Pepper, and maybe Ready Ice. Just a couple of programs. And he would go sign stores up on the weekends and build it up enough that he could replace his grocery job and then do it full time. So
wow.
He was telling me stories that, he'd be in his living room and he'd be signing the checks, hand them to his wife, she would fold them, and then she'd hand them to his son, and he would lick the envelope and seal them.
Yeah.
And he said it was just kind of a family thing at home in the beginning. And he goes, then when I got enough that I felt like I could cover my paycheck, we broke away. And so it's a really cool story to understand on where it all started, because I just kept carrying the ball to the next level. Lee is the one that started it. Lee and Jim, and built it from nothing.
Yeah, and the way he did that on the weekend to transition, because he still needs money for his family.
Sure.
And that's what a lot of the corporate guys run into too. Like when you made the shift over, you get real comfortable. Term we talked about earlier, with kind of where you are and what you're making and all those benefits and stuff, and then you just blow all that up.
Yeah, well, I wasn't making with him what I was making at Dr. Pepper in the corporate world, but it was the potential what I could make, and I just knew that was there, and I just killed it the first year, and then it just kept climbing from there every single year. And it's funny, about 4 or 5 years in, and he's going, good God, I never thought I'd be writing you checks this big. Because it was a split, not a 50-50, but it was a fair split since he was the owner. And so he was still getting a lot of incremental too, but when he saw what he's getting, he's like, dang, that's a good problem to have, no regrets. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So, as we move forward with kind of new generations and so forth, you've got one of your kids in the business, your son's in the business with you. I think a lot of what we've talked about today is, really translatable to young folks that are wanting to live kind of this American dream that really is out there, and that, by your grandmother's quote, 90% of getting there is within us, and that we can do all that. I believe that too. How do we instill that into others? How do we instill that into our employees? How do we instill that into the next generation to where they understand that? Because And I'm just going to kind of go off the reservation a little bit here and just kind of say, a lot of what I see is not that.
That's right. You're right. I see it too.
And how can we communicate that? And what are you seeing?
I think it's, there's no script on parenting. On how to parent, because like you said, each kid's different.
Yeah,
it's a different playbook with each kid. When you get one, you think I got this on the second one, and you just get a whole new hand dealt to you.
Right.
So what I see today in parents is they want to take away too many pain points for their children. Where and I don't want to tell the story, I walked 20 miles in the snow to the bus stop, that kind of thing. Right. But that's what's happening today. Parents are making life too easy on their children. And that doesn't mean you got to, spank them or yell at them all the time or anything like that, but you got to kind of toughen them up emotionally, because when they get out in the world, they feel so entitled to have their way and get what they want. That's just not the real world.
Yeah.
And they want more things handed to them. So I think you got to create a little bit of a toughness, Every time they get stuck with a toy, you don't take it away and fix it. Work with them, talk to them.
Yeah.
Encourage them to keep trying, just little things like that. And that's what I see the most of is parents, they want their kids to have such a great childhood. They don't keep their eye on the ball of being an adult and what they need to be prepared for when they get out in the real world and get told the real truth. So
I agree with that. I think, and you can go different ways, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're always going to raise our kids different than we were raised, in certain respects. Sure. And it's different environments. So for you, it's a completely different environment, because you've been very successful, and it would be so easy to go, well, I just want my kids to have all the things that I didn't have.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I wanted to also teach them the rest of the life. Yeah. Like, hey, listen, you're blessed to be where you are, but you can't lose your morals or your focus or just good decisions in life. And, that my kids, my grandma, she worked for General Motors. She was a secretary for 3 or 4 executives. I mean, she didn't bring home a big paycheck. I can remember she would go down to, if anybody remembers this chain, Montgomery Ward's.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
She had a credit card, had a $500 limit on it. Beginning of school, she'd go to Montgomery Ward's and buy me shirts, shoes, socks, pants, everything for the whole school year. Mm-hmm. And then she'd spend the whole year paying off that $500. But I had good clothes to go to school. Excuse me. And she would pay it off. And then in the summer, those pants became shorts. I went barefooted. If I wore a shirt at all, or I cut it off with no sleeves, my winter stuff became my summer stuff.
Yeah.
Just less of it. Where today, moms and dads, they go buy summer shoes, fall shoes, winter shoes, outfits. I mean, it's outfits for every season. And I just didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the struggles built my character to strive to want more. So that's my biggest fear with my kids and my grandkids, is the position they're in that I'm in, and just trying to remember that, and build on that, because they say when you get well off in life, it's not even so much your kids, it's your grandkids you have to worry about, because they're going to enter into life in a completely different position than their parents and even their grandparents. So
yeah, it's almost like, when you started at that point, like Lee had taken it from one point, and then you came in, took it to another point. It's almost like I can see that with, the generations, you're able to provide so much more for your kids. So they've just got a different starting point, but then we still want somehow for them to take that and go do something awesome with it, right? Not to just kind of hang out there, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, my kids they're doing pretty good because of what Jody and I have accomplished, and they always talk about retiring, and they're in their 40s, late 30s.
Yeah,
like, if you're losing your mind, why would you retire? That's just complacent to me.
Yeah.
Go out and be meaningful and do something and enjoy what you do. Make it something fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to go say, I have to have this amount and I got to take this grueling job because I need it. Go do something fun, but you're not sitting on the couch at home and just doing nothing.
Right.
One, I don't want my grandchildren to see that. And two, I don't want to see it because I'm still working.
Yeah.
So y'all don't get to retire before me. You know, they kind of laugh.
That's a good rule.
Yeah. And they're good kids. I mean, they do well, and you know, their kids are good kids, but I do see differences in how, and I'm not, believe me, we weren't the perfect parents. You know, you look back and say, oh, I maybe should have done this different with this child or that child, or, you know, hindsight's 20/20. And they're just going through all that today. So, you know, like you say, it takes a village to raise your children.
This generational wealth issue is a big one, though. And, you know, it's important to get, I think, in touch with your own values that were created, you know, from youth, and understand those and be able to, you know, help your kids understand them and share perspective and all that stuff. I think it's really important.
Well, I think you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
You know, at a certain age. Now, you can kind of instill that in kids.
Yeah.
And they can grow up learning from that. But then I think at a certain point, when they get to a certain age, that's just who they are.
Yeah, oh yeah,
They're just not going to be that. And that's okay. But still go have a job, still be productive, still make good decisions, be a good person, humble, all those things, and you're fine. But I think it's just something in your DNA too. Like I am just wired to win.
So folks, that's Rob Knight, and he is definitely wired to win. The tail end of this podcast was degraded, so I'm going to sign off for Rob and I. We just continued to have technical difficulties throughout this interview for some reason. Man, I think I'm getting to the point I need like some help from like a 20-year-old intern or something, because this when the technology doesn't work for me, it really stresses me out. But Rob wanted me to let you know that you can get in contact with him through his assistant, Yolanda Quellar, and she can be reached at YOLO@ibcco-op.com. And we'll put that in the show notes. And certainly reach out to Rob if you have any additional questions for him. Really enjoyed the interview with him. I hope you all enjoyed it. As a reminder, we put this out every other week, and you can subscribe, get this dropped right into your email. And we hope you have a fantastic week. Take care.